Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to talk about ethics, and I decided to prepare this video as a prelude to the CPC video that I'm going to prepare next, to just help you understand a little bit about ethics, why it's important, and the different types or the different branches of ethics that we have. So let's get into it. What is ethics? Ethics is essentially a moral code. It's what helps us decide in terms of making decisions, how we're going to lead our lives. It helps us decide what is right and what is wrong. And as you can appreciate, this becomes a very important concept in business as well as in everyday life, really. There is a very interesting view that says that ethics equals legality. Now, this is not always true, because sometimes it's possible for something to be legal, but not necessarily ethical. Now, if we think about the South African context, we can just think about apartheid. It was a legal thing, but it wasn't ethical. Or slavery in the US, it was legal, but it was not ethical. Now, the opposite can also be true, in that something can be illegal but ethical. What's an example of this? So let's say, for example, you're trying to transport a loved one to the hospital and they need immediate medical care. And in doing this, you drive beyond the speed limit. Now, that is illegal, but it is ethical because you're essentially trying to benefit someone else. So generally, ethics or something will be ethical if it is both good for you as well as the others. So with that in mind, let's now talk about personal ethics. Personal ethics speaks to your conscience, right? So it speaks to the values that you hold dear, and this could be a product of many things. So what kind of family were you raised in? What kind of community were you raised in? All of these things have an impact in your personal ethics. Now, personal ethics speaks to how you behave, how you navigate certain spaces, or how you navigate, say, relationships, for example. It has nothing to do with where you work or the decisions that you make at work. So how you treat people on the street, or people that you maybe perceive to be of a lower social class than you are, that would represent your personal ethics or your personal value. And you're most likely going to treat the people at work in a similar manner. So if you were, for example, brought up in a family that puts a lot of emphasis on working hard, on being honest, having integrity, those are likely going to be your personal values. And that is going to be how you're going to navigate the world, which would then represent your personal ethics. Now, your business ethics, on the other hand, have nothing to do with the consciences of individuals. It all speaks to the business's moral code. So how does the business navigate certain situations or ethical dilemmas? So if you think about, for example, how a business would treat its employees, right? Do they pay them a legal and a fair wage? How do they treat their customers? Do they exaggerate the benefits of their products? Do they use harmful products in manufacturing the stuff that they sell to customers? Are they honest with them? Do they keep promises? That is something that a business, or that is something that would tell you a lot about a business's ethics. How does the business feel, for example, about paying taxes? Do they do what they can to legally avoid paying as much tax as they can? Or even worse, do they illegally evade taxes? What is their feelings about corporate social responsibility? How do they feel about uplifting the communities that they serve? All of that would tell you a lot about the kind of ethics that a business has. And last but not least, you have professional ethics. Now, this is a branch of ethics that is open or binding to members of a certain profession. So if you think about lawyers, medical professionals, accountants, they have to abide by a certain code of ethics. So if you think, for example, about doctors are, asked to do no harm, for example. At least that's what I've seen in the movies. I don't actually know a lot about the actual ethics, but they're not supposed to do any harm. So that means that would be reflected in the way that they interact with patients. That would also essentially be reflected in how they interact with people on the street as well, outside of the hospital. If you think about accounting ethics, which is something that I know a little bit about, you would be expected to do certain things in your capacity as an accountant. So, for example, it would be expected from an accountant to provide sound business advice. And where the accountant does not know enough about a particular topic, the expectation is that they would either need to, one, upskill themselves so that they can provide the sound business advice, or two, refer that job to someone else who then knows how to do that work. My reputation as an accountant in the community as well means that I am probably held to a higher standard. So I cannot be involved, for example, in my personal capacity in, say, selling schemes or getting involved in anything that could discredit the profession. So professional ethics does overlap into your personal life as well. It's not always just something that you have to do in your work or when you are doing the work of that profession. It sometimes does overlap into your personal life as well. So that is the difference. Why do these concepts matter? Well, they matter because, well, if you think about the fact that if your own personal ethics are shaky, it doesn't matter what kind of business you go into. Let's say the business has the highest standard of business ethics. It might present a little bit of a challenge because you and the business are essentially going in the opposite direction. And it doesn't matter if you are to get into a profession that also has the highest standard of professional ethics. But if your personal ethics are also shaky, no amount of me teaching you the CPC will help you distinguish between right and wrong. So all of these concepts are interrelated. And so I just wanted to create this video as a short summary, a short prelude to our discussion about the CPC. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time.